I'm gonna do a quick early spring garden tour just to see what it looks like before everything gets started. I'm switching out my tire planters in my pathway here with these big tree pots, and I'm filling them with bulbs and annuals and stuff like I did with the zinnias last year that turned out so good. This bed right here that's full of weeds, it has Vidalia type onions down the center. The broccoli that I put in here to overwinter didn't do anything, so that was disappointing. 2 annual planters. We've planted potatoes in these 20-gallon grow bags. We have some here and some over here with wire on top to keep the cats out. Yes, I'm talking to you, David. The other potatoes are planted over here in front of my parking spot. This is where I park. And this is 2 rows of potatoes here and here. And we're just waiting for those to pop up. We did till this area. It was where we put the mammoth sunflowers last year. And we tried to do some squash here, but never had much luck. This was a new bed that we just spread some compost over last year. So I went ahead and had him till this area too beside my parking spot. This is the memorial garden for my parents, and all I have left here is this rose bush. It's a Tropicana, I think it's orange, for my daddy. I threw some rabbit poop on that, and then I'm gonna get some garden soil to put out here, and probably this year I'm just gonna plant seeds for wildflowers and see what happens, like a cover crop, but pretty. This is my infamous green bean tunnel. We grew so much off of that last year, and we're actually going to expand it by 1 cattle panel. So we're going to have 4 altogether. That way I have a little bit more each time I pick, because I would always have less than a canner load every time I would pick. So this time I'm hoping to have a full canner load every time I pick and not have such a long season. There are some leeks in here that need to come out. This is their 2nd year, and they're looking really good. So I see potato leek soup in my future. Both of the sides of the inside could be used to plant things. I had some celery planted down here, which appreciated the shade. I think it's done. So I may pull all this out, and right now all the weeds I'm feeding to the rabbits. And this is all really good ground cover. Most of this dies back when it gets hot, and it's good for the soil. I weed eat it down. I'll show you what I did. I've got calendula in these 2. So this is the first bed, and this is the 2nd tomato bed. We'll probably have tomatoes in this again this year. Look at this horehound. It's looking really good this year. Last year was barely a sprig, and it smells so good. Got to figure out something to do with that. This is the 3rd bed. There is a lot of veg in this one, which I love, and the rabbits love. And there's also some celery down there, so hopefully I can keep that going. I've got some rye that I'm going to weed eat and use for straw in the garden. Okay, so this is going to be my first tomato bed. This was my pepper and okra bed last year. We weeded it really good, and we've got the tarps down killing the weeds. But it hasn't been super hot and sunny, so the weeds are still there. But I'm hoping these warmer, sunny days will take them out in time to plant in a couple weeks. So we have this bed, this bed, this bed, and this bed. And basically they're all planted in cover crops right now. self-seeded cover crops. Which, I mean, if you're gonna have to plant cover crops, that's the way to do it, in my opinion. These beds I normally start seeds in, but my dang cats have been using it for a potty. So these beds will be flowers this year. And I'm not sure what this is. I planted spinach over here. And I think there might have been some spinach, other seeds. I can't keep track. So I don't know if this is spinach or what. It's very pretty and it's very happy here. I've got my comfrey over here that I need to get out. This is a 4x probably 6 or 8 bed. I need to get some cucumbers in the ground. See if I can get some early cucumbers, but I got to get that comfrey out and divided and planted over in the food forest. This is my asparagus bed. And I'm starting to have some asparagus come up. I actually just picked a few of the really big ones, really fat ones. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna side plant this one like I did last year. The Napa cabbage that I had in here bolted. It overwintered too and bolted. So I could pull it out. I've got some beets that need to go in to the ground, so I could put those there. That's probably a good idea. I've got my chicken tractors out here working, moving them daily to start mowing down the weeds in the pathways and stuff. I'm not putting them over any beds right now because I want to plant the beds pretty soon. This is my son's carrot bed and it has been amazing. He comes out here every day and picks carrots for his lunch, and they're all mixed carrots, so he loves having the surprise of when he gets the red carrots. He loves the red carrots, so that's been great. This is another one of those 4x6 or 8 beds. It had sweet corn in the summer, so I need to get this weeded down and a tarp put on it. And then there's a little skinny bed beside this other tunnel that has kale in it. You can't see it, but it's there. I promise. Oh, look at this one. This is actually like a 2 or 3 year old plant, so it's not surprising that it's bolting. That's probably a yummy little sprout right there that might go with my breakfast this morning. I forgot that this rose was here, so when I pruned all the roses, I forgot to prune this one. But this is that climbing Joseph's coat, I think. That's what it's called. It's so pretty, a yellow and red bloom. My tunnel planters are full of weeds. They also have some pansies. In this tunnel, I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it this year. What I'm going to be growing. Probably the little melons again. I'm going to try that again. We loved having them. We just only had a few. Now this whole garden we have fenced in because of the cats. I'm probably going to have to do this with the front garden too once we start getting things planted. I'm not sure. I'm hoping to get a space over here made for just the cats. We had our roof replaced this year and we've got a bunch of junk out here from the roof that we've got to get moved. But I'm hoping to have a place out here that will encourage the cats to just use it. Yes, that's right. The cats need to not be using my garden. So this first bed was their favorite bed. So this is going to be flowers this year. This is a new bed that we just put in. It's a new no-dig bed. If I can figure out how to put in pictures of what we did, I will, but I still haven't figured out the whole editing thing. But this is paper feed bags, then 3 bags of organic garden soil, some peat moss that we had left over. Then I planted out brassicas that I had started from seeds. I'm fully expecting them to go to bolt. And then rabbit poop. And this was on top of ground with grass. And this is how I started all these beds. this bed I've just moved the chickens out of. So this will more than likely be flowers this year as well. Or I could do something that won't be harvested till the fall. This is my garlic bed. The garlic will come out in a few months, and then I'm going to put some tomatoes in here because this bed gets this earlier morning sun because of these giant pine trees. I don't get sun till later in the day, but this particular bed gets sun before any of these other beds do. So tomatoes, I actually grew a really nice tomato plant in this bed last year. So when these come out, I'm going to put some tomatoes in. And then this skinny bed right along the road, instead of doing, this is where I usually grow my garlic. Instead of doing any vegetables in that one this year, I'm doing hollyhocks. So they will be kind of tall and pretty along the road. Now in front of the whole garden from the road, this is where I usually grow all my flowers. And what I did last year, which worked really well, was weed-eated all this down and let it be mulch, and then placed seedlings in. And then when it needed to be weed-eated next, I just weed-eated again around the seedlings and put more seedlings in. And just kept doing that, and it was such a beautiful border last year. So instead of trying to mulch the whole dang thing, and also that gave me the opportunity to have a lot of volunteers. So when I would see a volunteer, I would just weed eat around that volunteer. I mean, sure, I did accidentally chop some things that I shouldn't have, but it still worked out really well. I think better than trying to mulch the whole dang system. We're getting our strawberries out of this strawberry bed. We have green stalk on the back porch now that I got for Christmas. We put some strawberries in it. I've got this strawberry pot. I'm going to put some strawberries in. And then I'm not going to go in the fence. Just come over here and show you that we planted 2 rows of strawberries that go all the way back almost to that apple tree, this apple tree. There's one here and 1 row here. So this is our tiny food forest beside the black ostrich pen in the front yard. There are 6 or 7 chickens in this space. It was 100-foot roll of this 5-foot wire, and I like having at least a small amount of chickens up here so I can throw them scraps from the garden. And I like looking at these girls. They're so pretty. And our big rooster. So right beside the chickens is our food forest. We planted 2 dwarf apple trees, 1 here and 1 there. We actually planted 3, but one of them didn't make it. We planted 3 blueberry bushes, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. Now I'm not sure how the blueberry bush situation is going to work out, but we got them on clearance and we just stuck them in there. And then we planted 2 rows of strawberries. And then I will fill in the spaces in between with annuals this year, just whatever I have extra. I have some eggplants that I really like to feed to the chickens. I may put some of them here. This doesn't traditionally get a whole lot of sun in the summertime, but with one of those storms, we lost a pretty big limb out of this tree. It was like half of the top. And so I'm hoping, if it were up to me, this whole tree would be gone, but it would be really hard to take this tree out of here without some serious money. But I'm hoping that since that limb's gone, we'll get some more sun, because once the sun clears the pine trees, then it hits this tree, and so it's a couple more hours before sun really hits these garden beds over here. So we'll see how it does. We cut the top out of the apple tree this year. It had a top that really went really high. And this was supposed to be a Granny Smith. We've lived here for like 15 years, and we planted it pretty early on. My dad gave it to me, and it was supposed to be a Granny Smith, but I think it's a Gala. We pollinated it with my sister's tree last year, and we got one apple. It's the first apple that we've gotten off that tree because we've never had a pollinator, and it definitely was not a Granny Smith. I'm hoping these guys will at least pollinate her this year, so that we don't have to go down and get branches and rub them together. But I'm excited about the flower situation this year. I also planted a lot more flower seedlings, so doing a lot more flowers this year. I'll show you the seedlings real quick. This was pretty much it. I just wanted to get a video showing how it looks before we get started. It is Easter, last day of March, and we still have a few nights that's probably going to get freezing here. It says 36, but we usually get 5 to 8 degrees colder where we're at. And we had a frost last week, so it's still going to be a couple weeks for us. I've got dahlias, cosmos. I got all, this is a dwarf cosmos. More dahlias, more cosmos. I did not get any zinnias started this year. This is a violet queen salvia, which I'm really excited about. And then I'm waiting on these seeds. Hopefully they'll be up by the time my seedling sale starts. I've got sunflower seeds, marigolds, nasturtiums, a flat of different types of basils, and cucumbers. So hopefully those will all be up by the sale. They've been out here for several days now. And then I have a flat of herbs over here on my seed table. This is my greenhouse. It got smashed by a storm last year, so we're working without one this year. The frame is wrecked. We've got to get it down. All right, I'm going to stop talking now. Thanks for watching.